All right, welcome to another episode of Verified Titos PH, episode number 3, and of course, your usual lineup of suspects. I'm Neil. Joining me is Rav and Tito Rav and Tito Pat. Good evening, and we've
Good
got a really great
evening.
guest tonight. Go on, Rav.
Good evening. I'm Rav, Tito in training. Hindi ka po ako Tito. Joke. So, invite ko po kayong mag-like, mag-subscribe ng aming Facebook page tsaka YouTube. And don't forget to join our discussion. And Tito Patrick,
Yeah, so who do we have tonight?
All right, tonight we've got the man behind Tuason Racing School, Mr. JP Tuason. For those of you who are wondering why, well, of course, he was the guy behind. Well, if you've ever done any karting clinics back in the early 2000s,
you know,
watched the Vios Cup. He was the guy behind these events. He also did the Ford Fiesta Cup and di ba? And wow, a lot of other things. And because of the pandemic, the Vios Racing Festival had to be put on hold. But well, Mr. JP Tuason found a way to get it up and running in a different way and online. So, without further ado, let's welcome our guest tonight, Mr. JP Tuason.
Woo!
yo,
Hey!
welcome, JP.
I'm verified.
Right, Tito.
Verified Tito, JP.
Man. Okay, fine. Lumalabas ang edad dito sa show na to. Okay.
Hey, it's a cool maging Tito.
Hi, Tito
All
JP.
right. All right, I'm in. Yes, Tito Rav and
Ah.
Tito Pat. I should have put Tito JP Tuason. You guys didn't tell me. I should have done that. I would be in.
Let's change it.
Okay.
Go. All right.
Ayan.
Okay, how are you guys? What's up?
Ah,
Haven't seen
great,
you all
man.
in a while. I miss you.
Oh, nga, this pandemic's been pretty crazy, no? And
It's driving me nuts, I tell you. Staying at home is driving me nuts. I love my kids, but man, I tell you,
you can only take so much.
I know. Right? I'm like, when this pandemic happened, I'm like, wow, this is great. I get to spend time with my kids. I'm always gone on the weekends for the races. I'm like, wow, I get to spend a lot of time with them. I'm like, man, I gotta get out now. It's been 7 months. I gotta go. Does anybody have any reason for me to go out? Let's go, please. Call me.
Diba? And when you want to call for a meeting, everyone's like, oh, let's Zoom na lang, diba? Parang,
No. Let's have a real meeting.
so anyway,
Important.
so meeting. Yeah, so, we were talking among ourselves some
Yeah.
weeks back, and we were figuring out, who should we guest? And since we're also into gaming and tech and stuff like that, and I just started playing Call of Duty, and then I saw that
You just started playing Call of Duty?
I just started
Like just
Warzone,
recently?
man, like recently, man, like less than a month ago.
Let me scratch my head there. What have you been doing all this time? Really?
I know, right? So, I mean, playing Call of Duty online is really not that much different from esports, e-gaming that
Yeah.
you've set up to take the place of the Vios Racing Festival, right?
Yeah.
Now,
So, yeah. Go
how
ahead.
did that come about? How long was the gestation period? Na parang, shit, no racing this year. What are we gonna do, right?
What-
Well,
Walang-
it was one of those moments where, we had an oh shit moment. All right. So you said it well. When the pandemic hit, we realized that it'd be a while. And at that point in time, we were thinking, what are we going to do? We can't do any physical racing because physical racing means you need to gather lots of people. So we really sat down. It took about 2 to 3 weeks from when we started lockdown for us to figure out that we had to move in this direction. We had very, very little talks about it at the beginning of the year that we said, we have to get into the virtual space. but this pandemic really pushed us in this direction. So we made a very, very quick pivot. And pivoting into this space during the pandemic wasn't easy. Why? Because we had to figure out, and we weren't gamers, right? I mean, we weren't proper gamers at the time. We've had dabbled in esports before, but we weren't gamers at the time of the pandemic. We weren't full on in it. So we had to pivot from physical racing to online racing while we were in lockdown. So what did that mean? It meant I had to come up with a concept, find sponsors, organize a game, launch the game and get players, and then create a broadcast stream, which is basically what we're doing right now. And we had to do all of that without any physical meetings. And at the beginning of the pandemic, that was like unheard of, right? How do you do that?
Nobody wanted to get out of the house.
Dude, nobody wanted to get out of the house, right? And then, let's face it, Philippines doesn't have the best internet connection, right? So it's a real scratch in the head. How do you make all of this stuff happen? And for some reason the stars aligned. We were able to make everything happen. All of those 5 steps we were able to make happen in 2.5 months. So from lockdown, we actually were able to launch our first esports game. It was called the Race for Frontliners. And this was a PlayStation-based game. And we had hundreds of players. And what we did was, it was a competition, which basically allowed people that were not doing anything at home to get involved in something. And what we did was we took all of the registration fees, and whatever people paid as registration fees to join the game, one of our sponsors, Family Mart and Phoenix, doubled that, right? And that money, at the end of 3 months, which was May, June, July, we raised 400,000 and we donated it to frontliners in terms of PPE and meals. So yeah, super cool.
Nice.
That's pretty amazing for people to just take the call to action, especially during a pandemic, no?
Yeah, I mean, we had people paying. We actually didn't set a specific fee for people to pay for registration. We said, guys, come and play the game. It's free to play. Registration fee is totally up to you guys. Here's the bank account of the foundation that's going to take all of the money and turn it into food and PPE, right? So we went straight to a foundation. We didn't accept any money directly. So the foundation took the money from the people that were registering. And it was interesting because we didn't set an amount. So people just donated what they wanted to donate. And some people donated 500, some people donated 1,000, some people donated 10,000.
Oh, okay.
And, it was crazy. It went really, really, really well. It got to the point where we were able to raise over 200,000 from our registration fees. And our sponsors, Phoenix and Family Mart, said, that's great, we'll double it. It's now 400,000 peso. And then we turned it into food and PPE that we gave out to different hospitals. We gave out to hospitals, we gave out to the checkpoints, we gave out to schools as well, because schools were housing people that were coming in from the provinces, and also PPE. So yeah, we did our part.
And what was your
Galing.
what was your setup for that? In terms of how you were able to get everyone onto one track.
Yes.
What was that?
In terms of one track, what do you mean one track in terms of the racetrack?
Yeah, the race. Where everyone would converge, or was it like a time trial on a?
No, we actually did okay. So our first platform was Gran Turismo, and the reason why we use Gran Turismo as a platform is because at the very beginning we weren't plugged into the esports community as well as we are now, and we believe that the PlayStation platform is something that many people have. And if you don't have the Gran Turismo game, the beauty of the situation was you could actually download the game for 1,000 peso, right? So those people that wanted to play, so long as they had a PlayStation and internet connection, could download the game for 1,000 peso. They could connect to us, and then they could play. So we had to set up a server to host the games, and that was fairly easy because it just basically costs some money and somebody to watch over the server, right? To host the server. So our tech team took care of that. We played 5 games over 3 months, and then we created a show which was airing the week after the game. And then we had some celebrities come on board and played with us, and it was pretty good because over the course of 3 months we had just over 500,000 views.
Wow.
So engagement was pretty good. Yeah. And we would have we would actually physically have 4 or 5 thousand people watch the games live. So we believed that we were onto something right away once we got it going. And it's actually kept us busy the last 7 months, because after we started with after we finished the game of the Race for Frontliners, we were already in talks with Toyota to do something. We actually pitched them for a game during the pandemic, and they said, "That's great. We're gonna watch what you guys are doing, and we've got something that's coming up." And yeah, you can see it on screen now. We actually ran the just concluded GR Super Cup Philippines. So it basically took the online platform that we had for Gran Turismo, and we just basically moved it across and ran this program for Toyota. So the timing was great, because right after we finished the Race for Frontliners, I think a couple of weeks later, we started with the Super Cup. And it's a really great program. It's a regional effort for Toyota. 5 countries are involved in this program. There's Philippines, there's India, there is Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. And we ran the Philippine leg of this program, which culminates next month. Sorry, end of this month in October, with a regional final. So it was supposed to be a flyaway event. What that means is the champion gets to physically fly to meet the other 15 champions, right, and race with them. Unfortunately, with the situation now, people will be playing at a local location and then connect to the international server and race with those guys.
Yeah, I heard you mention during the award, the thing we had the other day with Toyota, right? That
Yeah.
the Philippines isn't recognized yet as by PSN, because a lot of people who sign up from the Philippines usually
Yeah, tama.
sign up for what, Hong Kong or Singapore or ano.
Yes,
So
that's correct. That's correct.
do you think this might help us finally get ourselves on the PSN map?
I'm actually in touch with the guys from Sony. They've been supporting us since March when we got involved in this. So, hi guys from Sony, please make sure that you get us on the list for PS5. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Pakidamay na to mga tito na to, ha? Pakidamay na rin.
Thank you.
Okay na.
And then when we sign up for
Alright, so-
PSN, there should be a Philippines there, diba? As a location. Para...
Yeah, so I had a really long conversation with the Sony guys, because the Sony guys, obviously, for them to be able to grow their business here, it helps a lot if they can have a very strong following with the online games. But unfortunately, it really has a lot to do with our local ISP connections. And until we can get better internet, and when I say better, not only does it have to be faster, right, but it has to be more consistent. There's a lot of fast connections that you can get if you pay and you're in the right place. But even if you have a fast connection, it's intermittent, right? It cuts out every once in a while, which is really the problem. You can't be playing a online game and then you have internet, because then you get disconnected and then you're out of the game. So it's a real problem, and really for that reason, and that reason alone, is why we don't have a Philippine PSN.
Oh,
I'm sad.
So,
I'm sad. Ako rin.
well, PS5 is here to save the day. I think the way moving forward, hopefully the PlayStation network won't require such a uh, fast internet connection. The bandwidth will be, the requirement will be smaller, and it'll allow us to hopefully set up a PSN.
Mhm.
So cross your fingers, my friends.
Because
Sana,
there are
Cross your
some
sana.
fingers.
that don't require too much bandwidth. No, I mean there are some. I know some people who uh, travel a lot, bring their PlayStations and play online, and they say as long as me 1 Mbps, I can get
Pero,
by. But it really depends on the game. I mean, I guess you can't get away with 1 Mbps on a racing game, no.
mm,
Um, okay, so from our experience so far, I think the minimum has been 25. If you don't have 25, then it's very, very difficult. One is trying to connect to the server is already a problem. There are some ISPs that are easier. There are some that are harder to connect.
mhm,
Um, and then the problem is, once you're able to connect, right? The problem is the disconnection. So if you're not, if your ISP or your speed isn't high enough, you can't connect. Diba? Ganun lang kasimple yan. And if your ISP is intermittent or choppy, then you can connect, but then you disconnect. So on both of those issues, it's a problem,
So
right?
they won't
And
let
we've been having, yeah, we've had guys that just have been trying to play with us since March. Some of them have had very, very good luck, and we've had guys that have been trying for 6 months and they can't seem to play with us at all. So it's the same guys that can't connect here, and then there's the same guys that are always connecting and always winning the games and whatever.
mm.
I hope with what's going on with internet providers and all that, sana magkaroon ng good competition so that they can give us some decent internet. I mean, I don't
I hear
understand,
you.
but nila tayo tinitipid ng bandwidth because at the end of the month, you can't save that bandwidth. It's gone. Diba? You
Mm,
generate these ISPs, these telcos generate this bandwidth, but you can't just stuff it in your pocket and use it next month. If you don't let someone use it, it's gone, right?
mhm.
Yeah,
Tama.
I totally agree. Hi, Kuya Randolph. Tito JP talaga to, si Randolph po. Hi, Kuya. Hi. I was just with you a while ago. I like your hat.
So, JP, paano yan?
Yeah,
You guys decided on the PlayStation.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what was the setup? I also heard you mention the other day that one of the guys that made it into the finals made it there without a sophisticated setup. He just had his controller.
Yeah, so one of the guys that was consistently winning is a guy named Corban Guerrero, and we eventually ended up calling him Corban the Controller Guerrero, because we found out that he was
Oh,
playing with just a handheld controller that comes with the PlayStation. And to be able to
wow.
compete against all of these pros, he was running in the pro class, right? So racing against the best of the best um, Filipino esports racers, and actually some of the professional race car drivers were in this class. He was beating them
Wow.
using a controller. It was nuts, right? I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Couldn't imagine that, but he was doing it, and I think it goes to show that there's a lot of skill out there. There's a lot of players that we can find, a lot of very, very good players out there if we provide the platform. And I think that's what we're doing now. We're providing the platform for these players to come and compete. I mean, the registrations just concluded. Super Cup was close to 350 players. So there's people that want to play, and
Yeah,
I
and there's
think
people
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and I think if we can continuously do it, it'll just grow, right? It'll grow and grow. because viewership wise, I think the Super Cup is about at about 1 million views for the three legs.
Wow.
So we started with the race for frontliners. It did about 500,000 views. The Super Cup did about 1 million views, and we just started today. A third race series, virtual race series featuring our Formula V1 cars. But we've moved from PlayStation based to PC based, which I think it's a bit early to say, uh, but it's looking very, very good. So we're able to. It's a bit more stable in terms of the connections. You don't need such a high internet connection to be able to play. So
What
good.
um are you? What game, or did you come up with a very a specific something proprietary for your new race that you just started?
Um, yeah. So for our Formula V1 virtual race, basically we're using Assetto Corsa as a PC based game.
Mhm.
And what's happening is we're skinning the cars, right? So we're able to put all the livery. You guys can see it right now. All the
Right.
livery on the cars, so it looks exactly like the cars that we use at Clark. And yeah, as you can see, it's going very, very well. Our first game has had 100 people registered for the games, and the grid sizes max out at 30 cars, and we've got full on grids for the races. So it's going quite well. So interesting. What we're doing now is we're introducing a second sort of program. We've started a game platform where people that want to drive, that can drive, that have the rigs, that have the game, want to come on and play, and then that's basically what you see on screen now. And we've seen over the last 2 seasons with the Race for Frontliners and the Super Cup that there's such a big following. So you can have 300 registered players come and play these games, but then you'll have 1 million people watching, 1 million views, right, over
Right.
the entire series. So what we did for this series is we started a program called the Formula V1 Virtual League. So that's on the poster now. So the virtual league or fantasy league, right, allows people to create their own team. So they don't actually play the game,
Okay.
but they become like a team owner, right? Like fantasy basketball, fantasy football. It's
Right.
free to join, and the 500,000 or 1 million people that are going to watch our games can now create teams, which include Rian Ramos and Femberanda and all of these other esports players. Garner points over the season and use those points to redeem all sorts of cool stuff from our sponsors.
Cool.
Wow.
So yeah. So we're trying to innovate something new. Um, I guess you can tell we've got a lot of time on our hands.
Yes.
We wouldn't normally be able to do this stuff, but now we're really going for it. And
But
I'm
you've
happy.
taken
I'm
it to the
happy to
next
say that
level.
things are
Yeah.
going well.
Good for you, man. Rav, you have any questions?
Yes. If sakaling if I want to join, is there any minimum requirements or like computer you need to high-end gaming computer to
Yeah. So
join?
so for Assetto Corsa, there is a minimum requirement for the game. I don't have the requirements on me now, but it would be the minimum game requirements for that game itself. So if you guys quickly go online, if you guys Google Assetto Corsa, then it'll give you the game requirements for a PC. And honestly, that's it. Um, you could, if you didn't have the budget to build a rig, use a controller, right? Or you could actually use a keyboard. And again, um, we've had 100 people register for the game, and surprisingly enough, some of them are actually just off the
Keyboard
keyboard.
warriors. That's so
Keyboard.
cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you don't have to get an
Now,
RTX, I mean, I think it's pretty affordable to put together a decent gaming computer that, even at 1080p, diba, should be
Yeah.
sufficient enough
yeah.
for a lot of people out there.
Well,
Galing.
the interesting thing is what we've done is we've actually put the game on some laptops.
Mhm.
So you could actually use a laptop to play the game, right? So if your the specs of your laptop for work actually fit the game, then you could actually put the game on your work laptop. And
Oh,
I don't know if you've got
Full
the
edit
photos of
your
the
laptop.
there you go,
Yan, pwede yan.
the rigs that we've built. Maybe I can talk you through some of that stuff. So I don't know, Tito Rav, if you can pull up those photos real quick.
okay, I will.
So we have a basic rig setup. We work with a group called Seven Garage, and they're a local company that builds these racing rigs, and they're very good for stuff that's made locally. We're very happy with it. It's an aluminum rig. It's not very heavy. They're very sturdy, and we've been using them for our race for frontliners, our Super Cup, and we're going to be using them for our Formula V1 races. So when we use these rigs for the PlayStation setup, they actually run on a single screen for PlayStation because PlayStation only supports a single screen. And then we use a Thrustmaster steering wheel. So we actually use a proper steering wheel and pedal sets so that it feels like you're really racing the game. But the interesting thing is we have a more sophisticated rig. And when we moved on to the PC version, we were able to set up a 3-screen setup. And the guys from LG have hooked us up. So we have three 32-inch screens. So that's
Wow.
basically 96 inches of screen that wrap around you.
Rap,
And
put that up, yung three-screen photo.
Yeah, I will. Mm.
yeah, and it's crazy because it doesn't do it justice in the photo, but when you're actually sitting in the rig, you're wrapped around the screens and you just it feels like you're actually there. So it's quite amazing.
Must be immersive as hell. I mean, look at that.
Oh yeah, for sure, right?
Tapos
So
naka-head ka pa, di
yeah, when
ba?
you've got your headset on and you're there, the screens are so big, and the way it's set up is, the steering wheel. If you can see, the steering wheel is actually where the steering wheel is supposed to be in the
Yeah.
car, right? So it's all properly positioned so that you see what you're supposed to see at the right position.
That is
It's
so
really good, man. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. You
Wow.
you can be on it for hours. You're driving so long and so hard that you're tearing up, but you don't want to leave.
you just need your pizza and energy drinks, no?
Yeah, for sure, for sure,
Throw out my
100%.
sofa, throw out the coffee table.
Yeah.
That's the living
So
room.
yeah, so the okay, cost wise, I guess that would be the next question, right? How much does stuff like this cost? So to get started in esports in terms of virtual driving, it
Mhm.
can cost as little as just buying a PlayStation. And right now, a secondhand PS4 is probably about 12,000 peso.
It's
Mhm.
not bad.
So for 12,000 bucks, off you go, right? You buy the game, which is about 1,000 peso, Gran Turismo Sport, which is what everybody's playing. And for 13,000 peso, you can be involved in esports already. Then it starts to get sophisticated. If you really want to have the right equipment, you start buying these racing rigs with the racing seats and the 3 screens and all of this other add-ons, steering wheels, the pedals, the headsets.
Mhm.
Then it starts to get expensive. So a simple single screen setup, something like this is probably going to cost you about 150,000 peso,
Wow.
That's all.
and that's all in, yeah. And then a setup with 3 screens, which you guys saw earlier. The 3 screen setup with the PC will probably set you back about 250,000.
Wow.
Wow.
What's the resolution
Um,
of those monitors? Are those
That's a good question.
Oh, yeah.
The resolution, okay. Well, the thing is, the resolution has to do a little bit with your computer and your card as well, right? So they all have to match. So the TV's resolution is not a problem. It's, I think, the card, because to be able to run the 3 screens, and
That,
Need a pretty card.
yeah, we actually run it quite low. If not, it starts to kind of chop, right?
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so what I was getting at is that may sound expensive, but you would be surprised. I've seen a couple of rigs in the Philippines that are well over a million peso.
There are some
No
that
kidding.
move, right, with gimbals and stuff. I've seen some online that you can.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of guys that have those funky ones that move really like that. But
Yeah.
it's good if it's like an arcade kind of game.
Uh,
But for a proper simulation game, the movements are actually very little.
very
If
micro.
there are movements, the movement should be very little because a real race car doesn't really move a lot, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, if you're playing a rally game, okay, the cars jump up and down a lot, but we don't do that. We don't do that. We're all the road courses, yeah, circuit
Yeah.
courses. So we actually have that equipment, and we have it on one of our rigs. My brother has a rig that has that, and just the motion simulators, right? The motion simulators. We have a set. You can look them up. They're called D-Box, and a proper set of these D-Box will cost about $10,000.
Dollars.
So
Dollars.
yeah, $10,000. So my brother Mike has a set on his sim. I don't have a photo of it right now, but he's got one, and pretty it's pretty intense.
Whoa.
Grabe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if you're
Not
really
not,
into it, it
not
makes
the
you
rig, right? It's just the actuator. The thing that makes it
Just the
move is
actuator.
$10,000. It's crazy.
my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it's the pandemic and you're stuck at home, what are you gonna do, right?
That's right. Blow 10 grand on some actuators that make your car kind of move.
Did you order it off Amazon or something?
No, actually, we've had it for a couple of years now. No, it doesn't look like that. Oh, well, no, it
Nah,
doesn't
not
look
like
like that. No, no, no. It's the right company, but no, it doesn't look like that. They're smaller.
Okay.
It's a huge articulation on that gimbal, no?
So yeah, I mean, I think that esports is growing. I think it's here to stay. I think it's only going to get bigger. Right now, the esports following in the Philippines is actually quite big. So I was telling you guys earlier that we run games across a whole season, right? Three games over 3 months, once a month, and then we'll have a broadcast, and we'll have, let's say, 1 million views for that series. The bigger, more established games in the country, like League of Legends, Mobile Legends,
Mobile
when those guys have tournaments, one broadcast will have 1 million views.
Yes.
It's crazy. It is crazy, and I think the only difference that we have with those guys is the driving games are one of the very few esports that actually translates to real life, right? So you could be really good at playing League of Legends, Mobile Legends, or Call of Duty, but if I put you into real combat, I don't know if you're going to do very well. You may run for the hills.
I don't even get
Screw
to the.
this. I'm out of here.
I crash into the ground just jumping out of the plane.
But you'd be surprised, the sim racers, most of them translate very well to real life, because a lot of the skill sets in real racing can be found in sim racing.
That's true. I mean, Nissan was very successful with their program, I think 2 years ago, where they got some gamers, put them in some rigs, and then took them to the UK to try their hand at the actual thing, right? So, I mean, there's no reason why you succeed that way. But
So
what you did here, JP, is this is actually the true democratization of motorsports, don't you think? If you can,
yeah, I mean,
if stay virtual, you game, you do this, you join tournaments, you you build your ranking, and then if you really want to take it to the next level, then of course after the pandemic, you can hop into an actual car
Yeah.
with JP Tuason.
Yeah, the biggest problem that we've had in motorsports, especially in the Philippines, is the cost, right? Because uh, we're obviously not a first world country. There's not a lot of possibility to get yourself into a race car, unlike somewhere else. So by us organizing these online esports games, virtual racing games, it allows anybody to get involved or get a taste of what racing is like at a fairly reasonable level of cost. And what we're trying to do now with our Formula V1 virtual program is we're going to be giving the winner of our series a chance to test the real race cars. So our series ends in December. And aside from prizes from Phoenix, aside from prizes from LG, we're giving away TVs and whatever these guys. We're going to give the champion of our series a race suit, and we're going to take them to the racetrack, and they're actually going to drive a real race car. So,
That's
Wow.
yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
No,
Sali ka na, Rav.
pwede pa, sali na ako.
Halika na. Halika na. Pwede pa humabol.
Yeah.
So I mean, look at this. The PlayStation 4 has come a long way from the PlayStation 1. Did you guys ever have a PlayStation 1?
Yes, meron.
Man,
Yes,
we've
yes,
had
yes.
them all. How about you guys? We've had
Yeah.
them all.
Mine
Yes,
still
so-
works.
yeah. Oh,
You can sell that, man. It's going to be worth a lot of money soon.
Yun nga. I mean, look at how the graphics has gone, and there was also Gran Turismo. I think meron na nung PS1, di ba?
meron
Yeah,
yan.
Gran
You know,
Turismo.
yeah, but I was playing more of Twisted Metal at the time. But I mean, look at. I mean, it's serious now, and with
Yeah.
with esports and all this, your mom can't come up to you and say, "Oy, walang mangyayari sa buhay mo," because you've got kids playing team games abroad, these MMORPGs, and making money, right? It's
Ah,
national teams participating in, it's serious stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, I just saw something online the other day that was explaining how gamers make money, right? And it's crazy because gamers now can actually make millions of dollars. But okay, fine, you have to win. You have to be in the top team. It's kind of like Formula One, right? It's impossible to get there. But at the lower tier of esports, once you get into a proper esports team, you could actually earn a decent living. You don't have to be the champion, but you can actually earn a decent living. So in the US, gamers in the US are earning anywhere between 30 and $70,000 a year, right? Playing games, it's crazy. Now, the funny thing is, if you think that's a lot of money, right? $70,000 is what, 3.5 million peso a year. These same gamers are explaining that they make more money just streaming themselves on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
They'll make $100,000. It's crazy because people are watching them and saying you're so good, whatever, and then they're just donating money.
I think the interaction.
Yeah, sure. There's some interaction stuff. They don't have to take their clothes off on the game, right? But what I was trying to get at is locally, it's already starting to happen, right? There's now a local esports league that's been put up, and it was in preparation for the Sea Games, which happened at the end of last year. So there's now, I think there's 7 or 8 proper esports teams in the Philippines, and these esports teams are professionals. I mean, they're the guys that are on the team are being paid like PBA players to play games every day, all day. So it's coming, you guys, and I think in terms of, again, games that are more established, like Mobile Legends, League of Legends, Dota. Those guys are Call of Duty, right? They're ahead of the game in terms of what we're doing, but in terms of our sport, in terms of driving, we're trying to blaze a trail for people to go in that direction.
Yes. Neil, kailangan na natin mag-practice sa Call of
I
Duty.
need to. Now I need to set up my computer even more. Damn it, my RBG fans aren't gonna get me to where I need to be. No, but seriously, I have seen this gaming is pretty serious because, like you said, Twitch. There are people there who aren't even that good, but they're just interesting.
Yes.
They're interesting. They've got following. They develop a following and they make money. I mean, some of them, probably not making as much as a 70,000 a year, but enough to not have to have a day job, diba?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's not so bad in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, it's not needing to have millions of followers on YouTube anymore. I mean, this whole game streaming and all that. I think that's the next level already. Diba?
Yeah. Yeah, before we got involved in this, my kids basically introduced me to Twitch, and I was like, I don't get it. I totally don't get it. Why do you want to watch other people play video games when you can play the game yourself, right? I
Yes, same
totally
reaction.
couldn't get it until we started running these online games, and then I could understand now where the action was coming from, right? And basically, what one of the things that Twitch allows you to do is, if you're a gamer and you play this game, you like this game, and you're stuck, right?
Tama.
You can watch somebody else play the game and find out how to unravel
Yeah.
being stuck, right?
Yeah.
And you guys said it already. You explained that there's interaction, right?
Yes.
So you can actually interact with these guys and ask them questions. They become kind of like coaches for you, right?
Mhm.
And then you pay, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's
So what's
why
your channel, JP?
Sorry.
Do you have a Twitch
You
channel?
you can catch me on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel, Tuason Racing TV, where we do our podcasts and we do our broadcasts of our races, and we just started a luxury vlog. So every month we're gonna do vlogs about crazy expensive stuff. So yeah, I've got friends that have super crazy boats and watches and cars, and we'll feature that. I'll be like the
You're the
supercar
supercar
blondie.
blondie.
Papa blonde ako ng buhok, bro.
doon na ako papunta.
Yeah, you get a chance to do the stuff that us regular guys don't get to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing is, over the years in motorsports, you get exposed to a lot of affluent people, and when you know them, they've got other things, and it's great to be able to ring their bell and say, "Hey, can I shoot your car?" So I've got a really interesting story,
car?
right?
Go on.
A friend of mine, and I'm not allowed to say his name, right? A friend of mine, during the pandemic, sold all of his cars, right? And he had some really awesome cars. I'm like, he had a you guys know what a Mercedes G-Wagon 4x4 squared is?
Yeah.
It's really big, right? Massive.
Yeah.
It's like a G-Wagon on steroids, right? So he sold that, and then he had a GT40. He had the last generation GT40 that he sold, and and he sold something else. And I'm like, bro, are you okay? Things all right?
Yeah.
Pandemic getting you down?
Yeah.
He goes, no, bro, may deliver kasi mamaya. Kailangan ko ng pambayad. Sabi ko, okay, sige, whatever, right?
But I need to make some space for the new
The
one.
next day, the next day, they delivered the 2020 GT40 at his house. I'm like, no way, no
Wow.
way.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm like, how much is this, right? He goes, he goes, well, if you can buy it direct from Ford, it's about $500,000 in the States. I said, okay, great. But you can't because, they're all on a wait list and, it's only certain people that can buy it. He goes, on the secondary
Yeah,
market, it's $1 million.
you have
Wow.
to
A
apply to buy
million
that.
dollars.
Wow.
Just try to get your head around that, right? $1 million in the States is what that car costs. He had it delivered to his house the other day. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
And then you meet people like I have another friend, super interesting, Arthur De Jong. Have you heard of Arthur?
Arthur.
Arthur's a Dutch guy married to a Filipino and lives in Philippines. And about 6 years ago, he did the Vios Cup. He had never. This guy's like 50 years old. Yeah, it's just over 50 when I met him, and he had never done motorsports before. It was a dream of his, and he did the Vios. Came to the school, right? I bumped into him at the track. I said, "Come to the school, you'll love it." Came to the school, loved it. Bought a Vios Cup car,
Raced it.
started driving the Vios Cup, right? And I think the best he did in his first season was he wasn't slow, he wasn't super fast. I think he was like third place, right? Third place.
Oh.
And then at the end of the season, he sells his car, and he went nuts after that. He sells his Vios Cup car, buys a racing team in Malaysia, goes racing in Malaysia for like 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Right? He doesn't buy a race car in Malaysia. He buys a racing team.
The team.
Team.
He buys a team. And then I think 2 years ago, he achieved his dream, right? His dream was to race at Le Mans.
Wow.
Wow.
So he went racing, and within 5 years of his start of motorsport, and he had no experience in motorsport, he was on the grid at Le Mans.
Oh.
And for those people out there that don't understand what Le Mans is, it's like the Formula One of cars, right? Of touring cars, whatever, right?
Yes. Wow.
So he started in the Philippines with the Vios Cup, and in 5 years he raced at Le Mans. And after he finished his race at Le Mans, he sold his car. He sold his car. He retired. That was it.
Basta he did what he wanted to do, and he was happy
Sure.
after that, right? Galing.
Yeah.
Sure, but again, it's these amazing stories that we want to be able to share, right, with our friends.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Makabili nga ng Vios Cup bukas.
Makabili nga ng
Sige
race.
nga.
Baka
Download-
makarating din.
Download muna kayo ng game.
Sige, download na tayo.
Download muna kayo ng game. Let's start with the easy part. Okay.
So, JP, you mentioned earlier, you set up a server for the race for frontliners, diba?
Yeah.
And what do you think about setting up a local server that, does that mean like if people want to race, was that PC based muna, yung race for frontliners, or was it PlayStation?
No. It was PlayStation based.
Oh, yun.
It was
So
PlayStation
you
based.
already set up a server. Why don't you keep that running for local PlayStation aficionados and just give them somewhere to race each other?
It's not as simple as
Or a
it's not as simple as just setting up a server. You've got to actually make bantay the server, right? So may tao pa rin.
Mhm.
And right now, our concentration is on a PC based. So we've got a server running 24/7 for us. Actually, have two servers for Assetto Corsa, and those are running 24/7, and those are going to go from now until December. So people that are registered for our game, they get the sort of the location of our server and the password. They can get onto that server anytime and play.
Nice.
So for sure, for Assetto Corsa, which is the game that we're promoting now, for sure. For PlayStation, we've been doing it for the last 6 months. We need a short break from Gran Turismo because you get burnt out a bit from playing a specific game for so long.
Are
Did you ever imagine that you'd be saying that? Burned out from playing a
Game.
game. Strange.
If you asked me this time last year, I'd be laughing. I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I knew at this time last year that esports was somewhere where we would eventually have to head, because at the end of last year, we were trying to be involved in the FIA games. So this is a like the Olympics of motorsport, and they do it in Europe. And one of the components was esports, which was using a Gran Turismo platform. So I knew we needed to get into the space, but at this time last year, it was more of a very casual conversation with friends, as opposed to March of this year when everything locked down and we were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So yeah, I mean, we're very very proud of what we've been able to put together. If you guys get to check our stream, which just premiered about an hour ago, we're very proud of what we've been able to put together in the last couple of months, because it's a lot of people don't get it, right? It's not just organizing a game and getting people to come in and play. It's all of the promotions, the planning, the sponsorship, the prizes, right? The production, and the most difficult part, honestly, is the production, because okay, cool. So there we go. So this is this is the game that we ran. Our first game was actually tonight, and we've got three rounds, 6 races. The first round, as you can see, is at Monza. Second round will be at Laguna Seca, and the third round is supposed to be at Suzuka, which may change because there's some really cool things that are coming up. So the point I'm trying to make is to be able to put together this sort of production, and I don't know if you can forward it a bit, Tito Rav. We've been able to properly stream it where we've had, maybe towards the end. There we go. So, you're able to show the winners. You're able to show on board people actually driving.
Oh,
you
cool.
can see them on Zoom, right? And then later on, you'll actually see that we've got hosts that are hosting. I'm one of the hosts. Kako Tirana was one of the hosts as well for this game. So we've got proper casters that are actually doing it, and then we actually play games and do raffles, and we've got sponsors that do commercials. So it's quite well put together. And to be honest with you, in the time that we've been in lockdown, we've basically figured out how to put together a mini TV station, right?
Yeah.
In terms of production. So very, very happy with that.
Kind of got
What you guys are looking at now is this is the interview of the winners. So we actually even interview the winners at the end. It's like a podium in Formula One, right? They get the interview at the end of the race.
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, and this what you're looking at right now has actually never been done before. This is the first time it's actually been done. So you run the race, and then you have the winners out on the on TV.
That is cool, man.
Champagne showers na lang kulang.
Yeah,
Like-
unfortunately we can't do that because some of our players are underage.
Oh,
Inigo Anton over here is actually not even old enough to drive a real car.
wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Daryl Brady, although he looks young, is not. He's actually old. Matanda na yan, bro. Matanda na yan. Yeah. And then Luis Moreno, he's actually he's a very, very good player. That guy, if he can just focus properly, could really be somebody that could represent the Philippines in esports.
Sali na tayo, Neil.
Pwede. So this Formula V1 you've got going, where does it go next? Where's you win this, and what's what's next? Where are you taking the next step?
Champagne showers,
My next
JP.
step is to take a vacation in December, bro, because I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
But I
Um,
mean, for the
you know,
seriously for the races, is there like an international league that it's part of that they will, of course, just like the Super Cup, get
yeah.
to participate in regional races?
Okay, so for the Super Cup, definitely, and Toyota, the Super Cup done in the Philippines was part of a regional program for Toyota, so that definitely has a um, progression, right, in terms of international racing and representing the Philippines. Our Formula V1 races locally at the moment in the Philippines is really trying to bridge the gap between not having any physical races this year to going into next year. Hence, the winners of our series this year, their prize is to physically get to drive the cars that they were driving in the virtual world. Whether this progresses to something on a regional level next year is something we still need to study. The platform will allow us to do that because we can have international players join our races, which is really the plan at the end of the year this year. And looking at 2021, I honestly think, you guys, that physical racing won't be back until maybe the second quarter of next year. So, like I said to you, we want to take a vacation in December, but probably late January we'll be back at it in terms of virtual racing,
Mhm.
leading into physical races that will come back second quarter, third quarter next year.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yes, of course we're crossing our fingers, but I just want to let you guys know that aside from Formula One being on, aside from Le Mans being on, Thailand is already running races, and Malaysia is also running races already. So,
Oh.
um, if they're able to run races at this point in time,
Mhm.
then I believe that in 6 months from now, it should be uh, we should be able to run races, or else there's something wrong with the Philippines.
Yes.
If they can do it, we can do it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
for sure. I mean, honestly, we're back. We're back behind some of these countries by about 2 months in terms of reacting to the virus. So
Mhm.
that means where they are now, we should be 2 or 3 months delayed, right? So 6 months from now, if we're not doing what they're doing now, then really there's something wrong with how things are being handled.
Mhm. Yeah. Tama.
Well,
Yeah, and
having said that, I'm pretty confident that if they can do it, I'm sure you can pull it off. I mean, they've been doing it, so I
yeah,
guess looking at the protocols, the health protocols, and
Mhm.
their SOPs, I think we'll be able
yeah,
to sort of adapt some of the stuff that they're doing, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, our team has been watching very closely what other countries are doing. We're not going to try to blaze the trail in terms of starting up motorsports here. I think that would be a mistake. Um, we want to see other people do it first so that we can take their best practices and bring it here.
Yes.
Great idea.
Nice.
Oh, questions, boys.
Are you going to upgrade to PS5?
Are you gonna require
Yeah. Are you
it?
going?
You know, we don't know what the story honestly is with PS5 yet. Our friends at Sony are like very very close lip about it. As a matter of fact, they promised to get us on the list of people that can get it first,
Okay.
but they aren't giving us a lot of details on PS5 at the moment. We'll all have to wait.
Yours.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right.
the problem with PS5 is although you can play backwards right? It's graded for all of the games. Um,
Right.
the upgrade that we're all waiting for PS5 is a better integration with the PSN, right? That's
Right.
what it's going to be. And
Yeah.
if the PS5 can sort out the PSN integration with the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
then we're rocking, you guys. Then we're rocking, and
Yes.
that's what we're waiting for.
Put us on the map. We need to be on that map.
Yes.
Mm.
I know.
Okay.
Anyways,
Here, here.
we're pretty much at our hour, the end of our first hour. Um, I guess we better let JP get back to whatever his PA.
Yeah, yeah. My PA is in the room, and she's asking what time she can go home.
Overtime, overtime.
Oh,
Yeah,
Pat,
yeah, yeah. Overtime na siya. Overtime na siya. Yeah, yeah. She she's asking if there's hazard pay and overtime. I'm like, no, there's none. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, super. Thank you for having me on your show. It's been great. I haven't let you say anything almost, so I've talked the whole hour.
no, dude, you
But
actually answered all the questions, man. I mean,
Yes.
we're genuinely curious about how you went about it.
Mhm.
You know, and in the short amount of time that you're able to accomplish it too. You know,
Yes.
despite the pandemic, pretty much just getting in the way of everything that everyone was doing, diba?
What you did is innovative. That's why I love. Maganda.
Lalo na dito sa Pilipinas.
Lalo
Bagal
ba?
sa internet.
Kaya nga.
yeah, I think what I want to leave you guys with, I guess, before I go is when we just like a lot of other people when we locked down, we were stressed out. There was a lot of anxiety. We were a little bit depressed, and we didn't let that last for more than about 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And then we wanted to answer a couple of questions, and the questions that we asked ourselves, and questions are very, very important, right? What I mean by this is if you're able to come up with the right questions, right? Our minds are designed to come up with the answers. But if you aren't able to write and ask the right questions, then you come up with shit. So in the time when we were kind of just trying to figure out the questions that we were trying to answer was number one, how can we do our part in all of this? Hence, the game that we put together always had a donation component. It was a charity activity. Number two, what was the how can we put our skill sets or what we're good at to good use in this situation where we're locked down, we can't have physical racing. Hence, we figured out that we wanted to do virtual racing, right? So we took our skill sets in organizing races in the physical world and we basically put it into the virtual world. So we applied everything that we knew. So we tried to make it as professional as we could. I mean, we had race stewards and a race director. We had driver briefings and all of that. So we tried to do it the right way. And then the third thing we wanted to answer was how can we lessen the anxiety that people are having? Because if we're having this, then I'm sure everybody else is having it. And again, the answer for us was to do the virtual racing because we believed that it was a good time, and I think we were able to show that by having 500,000 people follow and watch the races, aside from the hundreds of players that we had. So that's it, guys, from Tuason Racing.
Man, good.
I'm happy to be on the show, and I wish you guys all the best on the show that you guys are putting together.
Thank you, man.
So far,
Thank
I've
you,
had a
thank
lot
you.
of laughs. I hope the other guys have a good laugh as well when they watch this.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm happy to see you guys also sort of making the pivot onto the digital platform.
That's true. Yeah, it's something that we thought about long and hard, and I think it's fun too. It's just it's the way things are done now.
Yeah.
Cool. I agree. I agree. All
Patrick,
right.
Patrick?
Yep.
Tito,
Pauwiin na natin si JP.
Thank you, Tito
so many words
JP.
from Tito Pat. So many words tonight.
Yan na, asawa niya, yung PA niya, ayaw pa niya pauwiin.
Yeah.
Oo nga.
Again, thank you.
All right, you guys.
Thank you, Tito
Maraming
JP.
salamat. Please
Thank you.
check out our races on the Tuason Racing Facebook page. I know we didn't get to talk about my hacking. We got hacked. And for those of you that, if you get hacked, let me know. I totally know how to fix things now. So,
Expert na expert.
all right. 2 minutes. I'll make you cuento. It's such a good cuento. I can't believe we forgot it. It's so good. It's so good. So we had our Facebook page, right? We have 130,000 people following our Facebook page, right? So this dude, Thai guy, starts taking us out one by one, removing our admin. And because he did it so slowly, we didn't notice it, right? So the first person to go is my wife, and she was removed as a admin in Facebook, and she's like, okay, whatever, maybe it was a glitch, whatever, blah blah blah. She didn't say anything. And then I was removed, and because my my manager, our staff, is the one that's basically the admin running the whole page, I did not catch it, right? So finally, she gets removed from the page, and then our page is gone. Only for us to realize that the guys that hacked our page were a bunch of Thai guys. Why? Because when we looked at our page, and just as we were losing our admin status, we were able to check who the people that were running the page were. There was a bunch of Thai names, right? So we're like, shucks, these guys have taken over our page. What are they going to do? And then the next day we see it, right? We see a bunch of Vietnamese guys selling all sorts of things on our Facebook page, underwear, fake watches, crazy shit, right? And it's because, so we basically figured out that the Thai guys hacked our page and sold it to Vietnamese guys so that they can use our 130,000 followers to sell shit, whatever shit, fake shit, right?
Like,
So if you guys need like bras, I can hook you up apparently. Or if you wanna if you want a Folex watch, I got you.
no, wait, how'd
Right.
you get your page back?
Yeah.
It's a totally long story. We won't do it tonight. I'm just gonna tell you what happened. So anyway, here's the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing is the guys that hacked our page, right? Not only wanted to hack our page, but they were trying to get to me. And why were they trying to get to me? Because my credit card details were attached to the page.
Oh,
And my credit card details were not on the page. They were on my personal page. So they eventually hacked into my page, and then they proceeded to use my page to do online transactions worth $12,000 US.
Wow.
wow,
Yeah.
that's sizable, man.
Fucking shit. Crazy shit. And if I tell you, oh man, I tell you, it's nuts, totally nuts. So we're actually still in the middle of trying to sort out some of these other issues, but we've gotten our page back.
Good for you, man.
Both my personal page and my and the Tuason Racing page. But my personal page right now is in a transition. I'm about to kill my page, and I'm starting something new,
Right.
simply because we need to fix the security issues. So before I go, what I'm going to tell you all is, if you have a Facebook page, turn on your two-factor authentication, 2FA. Turn it on. It's in the Facebook settings, and it doesn't matter if you think that, man, I'm not really doing anything, nobody's interested in me. They are interested in you because you are connected to somebody else's page, and they're going to use you to get to that page and then get to who they need to get to. These guys are smart.
They're ruthless, huh?
They
Wow.
are. That's it. Peace.
Thank you.
That's dope. We'll let you go, JP. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow, galing.
Yeah.
Learn a lesson tonight. You secure your Facebook.
Secure nga natin Facebook natin. Kinabahan ako bigla.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mamaya kung ano-ano nang binebenta ng page ko.
Vietnam.
So,
Man. Anyway, boys, that was an exciting and fun third episode.
yes.
Um,
Sobrang daming natutunan.
esports is the way to go, ano? Galing. We're there already. We're getting
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a racing, but you know what? I've actually seen some games, some all, some of the other MMORPGs. Grabe, I mean, these it's just serious stuff. Team
Yes, yes.
plays, prize money. I guess travel abroad also. Galing, no?
Oh, yeah, yeah. At saka sakto din ang pag-transition natin from ginagawa natin dati to dito sa ginagawa natin, verified
Yeah.
Titos. Parang tulad nga na sinabi ni JP, we were down din naman tayo before, pero we came
Yeah.
up with something, and here's it.
It's-
We are
fun.
third episode na natin. So, yeah.
So more to come, more to come.
Yes.
Anyways, was a good show tonight. We'll
Mhm.
catch you all again next week. Same time, same Facebook page. Rav,
YouTube page, yes.
any final words for this evening?
Yes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our Facebook page and our YouTube page. And you can always ask questions kung anong gusto nyo, and baka pwede nating gawan ng episode na next time. Okay?
Alright.
Tito
Patrick?
Pat?
Yep, wala. Thank you.
And that's our show for the night.
Okay.
Have a good
Good
weekend.
night.
90